stage to share with us a little bit of her journey through the hospital.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is an honor to be here today with you. I'm very grateful that you are here today, and I'm very grateful for the Dorothy Ley Hospice and all of the people that make this place work, the volunteers and the staff, for being alongside me and my partner Bobby in 2018. As I prepared, I'm going to share some of our story, and as I was preparing it became very, very hard on my soul. So I hope you don't mind when I get like this in deep grief. I don't know, maybe some of you can relate with this, is that I don't always remember things. And so I've asked Melody to come up here. I've got some notes. It's probably maybe just a good idea if I read to you my notes. Can you come on this side for me, please? Thanks. Melody, who's having a baby soon. Thank you so much. So, next page. So I met Bobby in April over my backyard fence. I had a problem with my house, and he helped me fix it. And at the time, we were both grieving. For me, it was my favorite aunt who had died recently, and for Bobby, it was his late wife, Chris. And we were. It wasn't long before we both saw kinship in each other, and we became partners. Not yet. And I fell for him when he shared with me how he had cared for Chris when she was dying. It was the most beautiful love story I had ever heard. And I was sad with him that his life partner had died, and together we cried. If you knew Bobby, you'd know he was smart and he was funny and he loved to pull a prank. He cared for others, and he would have helped anybody at all, whether he knew them or not. And he was strong and he was gentle at the same time. A Yankees fan, he loved winter, and his favorite foods were ice cream and chocolate chip cookies. And we loved spending time together, having meaningful conversations. We'd ride our bikes along the lake, and sometimes we'd play tennis, and the winner always had to buy the ice cream. We consoled one another through life's tough times, and we also celebrated each other's wins. Bobby brought the best out in me, and I brought the best out in Bobby. We both knew we had an exceptional relationship, and we treasured it. In early September 2017, Bobby had persistent pain in his lower back, and that led to other symptoms. Just after Thanksgiving, he was diagnosed with 2 brain tumors. One was inoperable. The doctor confirmed it was terminal, and he had about 6 months to live. Seeing the end of our relationship broke my heart. And in my love for him, I wanted to try to do anything we could to help him and heal him. In late November, Bobby was diagnosed with bone cancer, including a tumor on his lower spine. In early December, after the final radiation treatment, the doctors could do no more. And we were on our own without medical support. It was during this time that we lost track of our relationship. I spent countless hours searching for something, for someone, for anything that would help the symptoms from the cancer treatments. On Christmas Day, Bobby fell down, and that was the turning point for me, as I frantically searched for someone who could help us. In desperation, I called the Dorothy Ley Hospice. I had no idea what you did here, and I didn't even know if you could help us. Within days, we were connected with a care coordinator who came to visit, and shortly after, we got connected with Dr. Mav, who started weekly visits. Finally, I felt that Bobby and I had the best care possible for our situation. With a holistic team of care and support, we got a bit of our relationship back on track. And those final weeks, we were able to confirm our love for one another, and we were able to thank each other for our time together. Bobby's deepest, final desire was to die peacefully at home, surrounded by his family. Around 11 p.m., February 13th, 2018, surrounded by family, at home, very peacefully, Bobby took his final breath. Without the Dorothy Ley Hospice, Bobby would not have received that. Heartbroken, at first it was all I could do to get up each day and eat. And my intention was to grieve well, but I didn't even know how to do that. And most of the people around me, they were not okay with my sadness. They wanted to fix me, and they wanted to help me move on. In April, Dorothy Ley invited me to a service, and we lit candles in memory of our loved ones. And they gave me the little green candle holder, which I took home, and each day I would continue lighting the candle whenever I needed something extra to remember Bobby. And one day I was at IKEA, and I even found some ice cream scented candles to align this ritual with Bobby's taste. Last May I did the Dorothy Ley hike, and in October I participated in a grief group, making friends with other grieving souls. And thank you, Lori, for being here today. It's grounding to be with others, where we remember together. And yes, there are sad parts to our stories, but we also share joy and sometimes even laugh as we remember together. My sadness has transformed into grief, and my grief is starting to transform into beauty. Along my backyard fence where we met that April, I've planted lots of bleeding hearts, and they emerge each year at this time, which is when Bobby and I met. In fact, my entire backyard is being transformed into a remembrance garden, and it's going to be open for any of my friends who are brokenhearted and want to come over and tell stories and remember their loved ones. And it's rituals like this that keep Bobby alive in my heart and soul, and that gives me tremendous peace. I support Dorothy Ley Hospice because I know from firsthand experience that the compassionate care is needed. It should not ever be that this type of care is not provided when somebody in our community needs it, and it needs to grow. Dorothy Ley Hospice never charged me a cent for the compassionate care they gave to Bobby and me and his family, and I admire and am grateful for the loving staff and volunteers who devote their lives to keep the sanctuary open. And I'm grateful you're all here today too, so that we can hike in solidarity, we can remember our loved ones, and we can raise the much needed funds to keep this service available to everybody in our community. I thank you for listening to my story and letting me remember Bobby with you. And I hope to hear some of your stories today as we hike and over lunch. And I thank you, Dorothy Ley Hospice, for caring for Bobby and for me during the saddest time of my life. Because of you, I am grieving well.
Okay,